Whoa, nearly dropped my camera. Okay, on my way to the gym. As I'm dealing with upper body and somewhat a lower body injury, I felt like this would be a great video to explain some workaround for the upper body if you're interested in bodybuilding, powerlifting, or general strength training. Basically, you want to be able to stimulate the muscles as close to the official movement as possible, whilst doing the exercise as pain-free as possible. Sometimes pain is to be expected since you are recovering from an injury, but make sure it's not debilitating. I don't want to give any advice which could actually give you any major setback or detriment, so just be careful and you should be fine. I'm still recovering from my back injury, but I'm fairly optimistic that I won't need to substitute that many exercises, if any at all. What I'll do instead, just so I'm not just documenting what I'm currently doing, I'll explain how I overcame my shoulder injury from years ago, along with going from some general substitutions if you can't actually bench press or can't row. Right, I'll see you there. Last time I told you guys about some injury considerations for the deadlift and overhead press when it comes to back injuries. Today I've done my bench after accumulating my back injury, and what I've done differently this time is basically limiting my lower back involvement, so not having a crazy arch. I think that's pretty much key. I was going to have my feet elevated, which is also another consideration to take your lower back out of it, keep it completely flat back. But for general shoulder impingement and everything else, I think it is better that you keep a slight arch if you're able to with your back injury. Speaking of shoulder injuries, when I did in my shoulder, one really good bench press substitute was the close grip bench press. It puts less stress on the shoulder joint itself and makes it more of a tricep dominant movement. Another thing generally that can help you with bench injuries is not relying on a belt. Using a belt when your spine in a compromised position, in my experience, led to extra pain and not really much of a benefit on the bench press itself. I mean, I know a lot of raw powerlifters like to use belts and straps and everything for no real good reason. Now that I'm trying to recover from injuries, I'm trying to use as minimal equipment as possible. Try it for yourself and see if it makes anything feel better. Another one recently is that I've stopped pausing my bench presses, as I'm not planning to compete in any meets anytime soon. I feel this prevents the likelihood of having bum shoulder because it involves less shoulder impingement on the joint, using the stretch reflex instead. Another thing, if your shoulders are really killing you and the weight up from the barbell is too much of there, another thing is you can always try dumbbells. For me, after my initial shoulder injury all those years ago, dumbbells was the only thing I could actually get away with. Try it for yourself and see if that works. Right, so that's bench done. On to rows. To get around using too much of my lower back during rows, I've rigged up one of these. It's called a seal row. You can get specific seal row benches, but if you're not lucky enough to have one, you can pretty much do the same thing with plyo boxes and a bench that allows the shape of it to so you can pull the bar to the bench. Another option instead of these is basically just using a machine row, because although it's cool and it's a unique exercise, it relies only on the barbell. Machine work is obviously easier. All you have to do is put a pin in a machine or load on plates and then it's done. This obviously requires a lot of setup time. Another way around this is basically just doing a dumbbell row, but in my opinion it's inferior to the seal row due to the compound element of the movement. This is my first time doing a seal row, and fucking hell, it wipes you out a lot more for the basic barbell row. Partially because of the compression on your lungs during the movement, and partially because you can't cheat on it. Another movement that's like to help is shoulder dislocations with a wooden bar. Okay, that session went way better than I expected, way better. I assumed that I wouldn't have been able to use my back at all and would have had to have put my feet up on the bench, but that just felt like a normal training session. Less back strain because of less of a severe arch, I had to lower the weight a bit. But besides that, I just think it'll be better for my training in the long run, sticking to basically injury-free, lower-risk exercises. Steel rows are something I'm looking to improve in the future. Being the first time I ever done the movement, I'm quite happy with it. At one point I felt a bit of shoulder pain in my bum shoulder, but that seemed to go away with practice, so yeah. Fucking hype. So for a nice clean recap, okay, so if you've got a shoulder injury and you're struggling to bench press, try shortening your grip width or widening your grip width. Try touch and go instead of pausing your reps, and don't rely on equipment all that much. If you're trying to bench with a back injury, don't have an excessive arch, don't wear a belt or any unnecessary equipment, and try lifting your legs off the ground so you're only focusing on the chest hypertrophy itself without any additional interference from other musculature. If this still aggravates your shoulders or back, try switching out to dumbbells. If dumbbells still hurt, try switching out to machines. And if machines still hurt, try switching out to cable movements. Those are all in what I would consider the optimal order to do them in. And the same goes for row and shoulder issues. Try to change your grip width. If your grip width doesn't help, then try to do them with support. You know, if your lower back's hurting, try to take the lower back out the movement. If your shoulder's hurting, try to take your shoulder out the movement. Do it in the same kind of strategy: barbell, dumbbell, support, machine, cable. And for general shoulder mobility issues and range of motion issues, try to do shoulder dislocations with a wooden pole. That's very, very likely to relieve all of your issues. If not, you could also try face pulls. One thing you might be wondering is, Minnie, why don't you just fucking stay away from the weights and let yourself heal? Well, I am letting myself heal. Thing is, you're not going to let yourself heal by getting weaker. That's just stupid. It's absolutely stupid. I haven't broken a bone, so if I can find a way to work around that injury and do anything, then I can maintain the muscle mass and even gain strength. And that way, with a stronger muscle, I'm likely to be able to support my weaker muscles as they heal. Letting your entire body deteriorate so you can heal, unless necessary, like it's a bone injury or something, then, I don't know, it seems really counterintuitive to me. And through practice, I find that this is true, that the more active you are, the faster you recover. Active recovery, physiotherapy, etc. I don't know the underlying mechanisms behind it, but if you can make progress, pain-free, whilst an injured part of you heals, to me it's a win-win. Also, the added exercise variance, in my opinion, gives a novel stimulus. So you're not just constantly grinding out the moves over and over and over again. This is why things like Westside program exercise variations into their system. At least one of the reasons is so you don't suffer from overuse injuries. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a doctor. And if your doctor said, you know, bed rest, stay off, everything else, then I'm more inclined to say listen to your doctor, because I am not a medical professional, never claim to be. All I'm doing is telling you what's worked for me. Every single one of my friends who has been told by the doctor to not lift weights, not exercise, and be very wary of the back, they've still never recovered, ever. The ones who stuck to their exercise regime and found workarounds, found ways to perform certain lifts in a safe way, they're all stronger than they've ever been, including myself. So I think that's something to consider. I mean, it's only anecdotal, but I think allowing your body to degenerate is probably the last thing you want to do if you're trying to recover from an injury. And it's not like I'm saying hurt yourself either. I'm saying find a workaround that doesn't hurt you. I mean, if you tear a pec, like you fucking tear a pec off the bone, I'm not going to say do 1 rep max bench presses forever. I'm going to say take a few days off, ice the injury, and then maybe in a few weeks come at it with very, very, very light weights, maybe even push-ups. Something that's so ridiculously small that it can't possibly hurt you. And then, over time, when your body starts healing, you can start adding the weight again. It might take years, but that's a hell of a lot better than never going back to the weight room or just waiting for Mother Nature to kick in. I'm saying be careful and find painless workarounds to your injuries. Underlining it because people are going to misrepresent me. Painless! That's all for today, guys. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. But always remember,
And I'm gonna jam it into your head till you buy it!
Put that cookie down now!